This is the second session for ISO 27001 lead auditor where we will discuss the in details for organizational controls having 37 sub-controls. I hope you like the previous part 1 of the ISO 27001 and this is the further part of the previous one. So in organization controls, we have 37 controls so far. Starts with the A5. A5 deals with the information security policies. What does this means? Information security means we need to prepare the policies with respect to information security. Okay, what is information security? Information security means we need to protect the data from outsiders or intruders, we can say simply from threats. So we need to prepare the policies for security measurement to protect our data. So this is the general meaning of information security. So what are the general properties of a right? So that our antivirus should be updated, right? Our DLP version should be upgraded, right? Firewall, right, proxy, etc. I mean, IPS, IDS, I mean, many are there. So we need to have controls in our organization to protect the data. So this policies talks about that, we need to have the clear, approved and communicated policies that guide the organization approach to information security. You need to present the evidence that the information security policy exists, is approved, communicated, accessible and implement. This policy is very important because by implementing these policies, right, we need to understand that, okay, what are the technologies, what are the resources are exist in your organization. This is all about that. Second is review of the policies of the information security, means whatever are the policies we are preparing here, right, we need to review at a frequent time interval. This relates with review means it ensures that the policy should be continually improvement, the policy should be relevant, effective and up to date with respect to change in the business operations part, new or emerging threats and risks and updates in the legal or regulatory requirement. So generally, if we want to review our policy at least once in an annual, we need to review all the security policies. Organization of information securities. This roles deals with the information security rules and responsibilities, means who need to take care of what kind of security controls to ensure that roles and responsibilities for information securities are clearly defined, assigned, communicated and enforced so that every individual knows their responsibilities for protecting information assets. Role, if top management or ISMS owner would be there, what are the roles assigned to that? The ISMS owner to provide the direction, approve ISMS, allocate resources and all. If CISO is the designation, then CISO to own and maintain ISMS, implement security controls, lead risk assessments. If you have IT security role or SOC team, so SOC team roles and responsibilities is to monitor, detect and respond to threats. System application owners ensure assets are classified, secured, and monitored. Right? If we have DPO in our organization, then we need to ensure that compliance with the data privacy regulations, GDPR, HIPAA, etc. Employees and contractors means follow policies, reports, incidents, maintain security hygienically. Internal audit compliance team deals with the perform security audit tracks and compliances gaps. So this sub control, organization means you need to organize your information security with respect to the roles and responsibilities, means which roles uh, which persons need to play which kind of role to with respect to which security controls. As we explained here, SOD. Okay, SOD is the most important part of the organization because SOD is the one who prevent conflict of interest, reduce the risk of fraud or error, and strengthen internal controls by ensuring that no single individual has excessive controls or authority over critical information security processes. SOD, segregation of duty. Generally, segregation of duties, comes in picture when the layer of approvals are required to provision the user access. Identify sensitive processes where a single person having complete control could lead to risks such as fraud, data breaches, or configuration errors. Segregate duties among different individuals or roles so active like approvals, executions, are review are performed by the different peoples. SOD is most important part. Let's discuss by taking one of the examples. Okay. Okay, there is a bank called as ABC Bank, right? ABC Bank. One person is there who is managing, who is handling the cashier role. Okay, generally cashier roles defines, right? The person who is distributing the cash to publics at the cash counter. Okay, and the same person, right, who is c- who is passing the claims, who is passing the claims. Let me make correct of this spelling passing. And at the same time, this person also, right? This person is also marking their claim. I mean, marking own claim. So if I can summarize this, right, the person is also marking the claim and also approving the claim. So if same person is doing more than one role, it's a big threat for our organization. That is called SOD, segregation of duties. Means the duty should be distributed in such a way that no, not a single person have the multiple authorities so far. If for example a person is there, right, he is eligible to do only a single role. Either this particular person need to do a cashier role or passing role or marking own claims. Okay, because in many organization, right, if a person is handling multiple roles and responsibilities, having higher chances of potential threats. This is the main reasons of the segregation of duties. Okay. Next is the contact with authorities. So contact with authorities means, if any security incidents happen in an organization, right, so who is responsible to communicate with the external bodies with respect to the regulators and the cyber security incidents, right? So to ensure the organization can communicate effectively and quickly with relevant authorities such as law enforcement regulators or cyber security agencies in case of incidents, investigations, or compliance requirements. This helps in incident response, regulatory compliances, and minimizing damage during security events or breaches. This is what the contact with authority means. There should be a person who is accountable for doing the communication between centralized and the non-centralized units. Whatever is happening in your organization with respect, especially with the securities breaches, should communicate it to the incident parties. And at the same time, they also willing to receive the important informations, for example any remediations part, any mitigations, etc. uh, they should take the responsibilities with the due timelines. This is what the contact with authorities generally do. Okay, contact with special interest groups. So this part and this part are actually related. So I already explained this part, but still I'm revising once again. Okay, to ensure the organization maintenance relationship with external groups that can provide information, advice, and support related to information security. This part is also helping in staying updated on new threats. See, new threats, vulnerabilities, regulation, and industry best practices. So If you have a good connectivity with interested groups, with similar competitive groups, right? Mm, Means you are receiving updates with respect to the new risk revolving in the market, right? New threats revolving in the market, new vulnerabilities, regulations, industry best practices, with the help of your direct or indirect interested groups, special interested groups. Particular threat intelligence, you know helps the organization collects, analyze, and uses threat intelligence to proactively identify, assess, and respond to emerging threats, vulnerabilities, and attack trends that could impact its information security. Identify sources of threat in intelligence relevant to your business and industry. Collects and analyze threat data regularly. Integrate finding into risk assessment, incident response plan, and security controls. It also helps to share intelligence with the stakeholders and use it to make information decisions. What are the project management for information security? Means you need to have a strategic plan. You need to have your IT systems implementation or upgrades to ensure the information security is embedded into project management so that the security risks are identified, assessed, and addressed throughout the life cycle of the projects, whether technical, organizational, or business related. This applies to all types of projects such as IT systems implementation or upgrades, cloud migration or SaaS onboarding, office relocations and process re-engineering, new product and service launches. So what are the project management for information security? What are the management for the IT system implementation? What are the management for the cloud migrations, office relocations, for example, right? Re-engineering kind of new product or service launches. So who is managing all these stuff should be accountable. This is what the project management of information security we need to do. Human resources security is most important. Means they are screening the resources who is supposed to deal your customer data, your business data, your PII data, etc. This control ensures that background verification ensures such as employment history, education, criminal record, and reference checks are carried out for employees, contractors, and third parties users as applicable and are proportionate to the business account requirements, the classification of the information, and the perceived risk. Screening means, right, we need to examine and evaluating the past experience of the associate in terms of the employment history, in terms of the education, in terms of the criminal record, and in terms of the references checks. This screening is applicable for in-house employees, for contractor employees, and for subcontractor employees also. Now, what are the terms and conditions of the employees? Okay, the terms and conditions are right. The particular securities responsibilities, whoever employees are going to take care should sign the non-disclosure documents. Also, they need to have a disciplinary. Every organization have a disciplinary process. So to ensure that breaches of information security by employees or contractors are dealt with consistently and fairly. Discipline, if your organization have a good disciplinary process, then yes, we can say that okay, that XYZ organization are very good in managing the ethics and brand values. Asset management is another started with the A.8. So asset management, what is mean by asset? Asset means exactly what? Uh, Asset means, okay. any product in the form of service or physical devices, right, who creates a value to organization comes under the assets. Assets may be your devices part, okay. Assets may be in form of the services part. It may be in the form of hardware part, or it may be in the form of documents part. These all things comes under the asset management. So A dot 1 describe the responsibility of the assets, where inventory of assets need to prepare means maintaining a complete up to date inventory of the assets. Ownership of assets means who is taking care of, who is owning that particular assets. Acceptable usage of assets means define and communicate rules for the proper usages. Return of assets in the at the time of resignation, transferring, uh, etc. For these activities, assets should be returned during offboarding the employees. Asset management is really you know uh, should be a critically audited part for an organization. A.8.2 describes about the information classification means what informations are hosted on these assets, because there are multiple servers and networks are existing in the organization. So what classification of data is hosting on that assets should be described in the inventory part. So classify data based on the sensitivity and risk and labeling of information. Label sensitive information according to the classification. Labeling means what? Labeling means, there are multiple uh, form where data should be classified in the form of label, where started with the, started with the internal data, okay, started with the confidential, highly confidential, secret, and restricted, public. Guys, my request, don't go for the accuracy of spelling. My keyboard buttons are not working properly. That's why you may miss, especially letter. Few letters you may observe as skipped. So don't go for the accuracy of spelling, please. So these are the few classification of data. I started with the internal data, confidential data, highly confidential data, secret data, restricted data, and public data. On this basis, we need to identify, we easily can identify, in fact, that is which device is critical for you. Media handling deals with whatever are the removable media in the form of USB, external device, pen drive, etc. How they are attaching with the assets, and what is the management, what is the approval criteria for the removable should be considered under the media handling. Disposal of media means what? Once the life of the media has been completed or not working at all, so securely disposal of the media to avoid the data leakages. Physical media transfer. Under physical media transfer, secure transportation of the physical media, where this physical media transfer is used. This physical media transfer generally use where, you know, the data backup, the data backup, especially the tape library, are shifted to the client location from other. In that phase, we need to especially take care of the transportation of the physical media. Access control. Access control is a backbone of the ISMS because access is the one, right, who deals with the authorization and authentication uh, of the users with respect to organization. So access control means, if I can say, you know, okay, let me open a notepad for the detailed version. Okay. Access control generally, right? What does this means? Access control means, right, what level of permissions, what level of permissions, right, does employee have? Employee or vendors here in place of employee, right, or contractors have. These all are comes under the access control part. Especially two types of controls are there. Started with the logical control and physical control. Okay, logical controls comes in picture when the permission when the permissions with respect to IT systems, okay, with respect to databases, with respect to networks, okay, okay, etc. comes. But in physical, right, where in the form of hardware access are required. Example, we have CCTV, okay, we have, right, security guard at door, etc. These are the some examples comes under the physical. Otherwise, in terms of logical, right, we have, right, MFA, right, we have a credentials forms, okay, we have the credentials form, right, we have the RBSC forms, right, etc. or least privileges, okay. These are the types of access control we are having. Okay. With respect to access control, with respect to access control, okay, what are the components you need to especially take care when a new application is going to onboard, right? What are the controls you need to review? I'm just mentioning one question here, okay? For a new developed application, okay, what checks you need to do from access control point of view, okay. Started, if you have a new developed application, right, a lot of things comes in picture, but from the access control point of view, started with this point, we have uh, you know credentials applicable with appropriate character characters with alphanumeric alphanumeric facility, okay. For example, 12 characters at least, plus, you know uh, additional alphanumeric, etc. For example, at the rate, I can say, okay. These are the things, or and etc and etc, okay. Second thing, we need to ensure that, okay, MFA should be on table. M a multi-factor, right? Means OTP, right? Multi-factors. Third thing, okay, let me explain the MFA in more detail. Uh, OTP on email and OTP on mobile. Okay. If we want to strength more restricted access control with respect to time zone or time sample, then right, what we can do for this? We can just restrict the different OTP on email application should create different OTP on email valid for 1 minute and different OTP on mobile valid for 1 minute. After 1 minute, if you missed any one OTP, then your complete system would fail. Your authentication failed. This is called the time-based authentication. Authentications. Okay. Started. Uh, okay. Moving to the next one. Okay. Scanning part. Okay. Many organization right prefers the fingers or eye scannings, etc. Okay. Fourth one is a captcha part. Fifth is very important, right, which is the role-based access. Under role-based access, right, what we can do, role-based access basically deals with the uh, authorization part. Okay, with the word of authorization, right, there is also a word called as authentication. Okay, what is the difference between these two? Authentication versus authorization versus authenticity. What is the differences between these two? We will discuss. Let me first finish this role-based access here. So role-based access should be authorized, right? Authorized. And number six is least privileges. Okay, least privileges means we can say that we need to provide the minimum access to employee, right? If we have, for example, access over TPRM, if we have also access to Nest, SOC 2, we can say, or ISO 27001 policies, for example, but your roles deals with this one, ISO 27001 only. So, administration at the particular administrator to provide the um, you know access for this only. For SOC 2, access not granted or access denied because this role is not for you, right? For NIST also, access not granted, denied. For TPRM also, access not granted, denied. Okay. This part on also ISO 27001 policies. Okay. These are the six things related with the access control in interview. If 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 they ask you, okay, explain what are the components of the access control, then start with the character, the length of the password. Okay, started with the credentials part, started with the MFA part, right? Started with the finger scanner type, discuss the captcha part, right? Discuss the RBAC's part, authorization part, and discuss the least privileges part. And also explain these examples if you can do. Now, what is the difference between authentication, authorization, and authenticity? These terms are very important with respect to the access control. Authentication. Authentication always deals with the user IDs and password. Okay. Uh, if you have an application URL called spi.com, right? In home page, right, you need to enter your user ID, for example XYZ, and after this password, this is your password. Okay. Okay. So uh, particular credentials involved user ID and password is a part of authentication here. Always remember credential parts. While authorization means what? After your authentication process completed, right? When you entered inside the application, a number of features are there. Okay, a number of features are there. So these features you didn't have any access to execute. So what are the features for that? Let takes an example, right? You just entered in the SBI net banking. Okay, inside net banking, right? So the access for read only for all these navigators comes the authorization part, right? You need to check whether which of the following do you have the proper access to have at least the read only mode. It may be possible that you missed any one of this section, and for this you need to raise a separate request to at least have the read access. This is what the authorization talks about. Okay. So for authorization, if I summarize, right, the level of permissions you have inside application is called the authorized level of permission. This part, level of permission means what, guys? Maybe you have 700, maybe you has 770, or maybe you have 777. 77 means read, write, execute. Okay, read, write only, and read only. Okay, read only. So the level of permission which you are having to access inside feature of any applications is called authorization part. Next is authenticity. Authenticity, uh, describes that what authenticity describes that you know what is the source of that information, whether that source is genuine or not. Let's take an example. Okay. uh, you receive an email from SBI, from you know John at the rate sbii.com. Okay, you receive an email asking that, okay, there is an attachment, and right there is something special for you. Okay, uh, and this is the keyword to open, right? And this is confidential. Okay. Okay. If you mind here, right, the domain spelling is SBI. So this is not actually State Bank of India because one I is extra here, right? This I is extra. So by this we can easily say that, right, this is not the original domain which we are assuming, means the source is not correct. The source is not correct, right? So if I can summarize that, if the information provided by source is genuine, right, means that data is authenticated or authenticity in nature. Otherwise, not. This is called the authenticity, right? By doing the authenticity of data, you must need to check from where this data landed in your mailbox or any letters like that, right? First you need to verify that who has sent, whether the sender has whether the sender is legal attached with the genuine organization or not. So this is the basic difference between authentication, authorization, and authenticity. So this is how, you know access control policies. Okay, establish a formal policy for granting and managing access to network and services, restrict access based on roles and businesses needs. User access, under user access management, you have user registration and deregistration, user access provisioning parts, management of privileged access rights, and management of secret authentication information, password tokens, review of users access rights, removal or adjustment of access rights during role changes or terminations. What are the user responsibilities? Secure use of authentication information, example passwords, MFA, and system and application access control, information access restrictions, secure logon procedures, password management systems, use of privilege utility programs, access control to program source code. This is what the complete nature of the access control is till 9.5. Okay. Next is the cryptography. Cryptography means it is a broader term for encryptions where key security domains which ensures you the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information through a proper use of encryption and cryptographic controls. What is the use of crypto? Defines a formal crypto policies, ensure encryptions aligned with industry standards like Advanced Encryption Systems 256 and RSA 2048 or higher. Apply cryptographic controls for data in transit, TLS or VPN or data at rest, databases storage encryptions, AES 256, 512, etc., and backup protections. What are the secure key management? Key must be generated, stored, rotated, and revoked securely. Use hardware security modules, HSMs, or secure key vaults when needed. Ensure access to keys is strictly controlled and logged. Let me just redefine here the cryptographic things here. Data at rest and data at motion. Okay. Very simple. Data at rest means AES 256 or AES 512. Okay. And data at motion means data in transit and data at transit TLS 1.2. At both ends. Both end means at source also and destination also. Okay. Next is physical and environmental securities, where physical means what exactly? The kind of tangible, the tangible assets, and environmental means, right, which is related to nature securities. Physical and environmental security focuses on protecting physical locations, equipments, and related infrastructure from unauthorized access, damage, or interference. This domain ensures that physical security controls align with organizational level risk management and operational needs. In the 2022 revision, physical security controls are grouped under the physical domain, but some also relate to organizational level responsibilities. Okay, what are the controls? Physical security perimeters, physical entry controls, secure offices. These are the example of the physical. Okay, physical rooms, physical facilities protecting against external and environmental threats, working in secure areas, delivery and loading areas, equipment placed and protections, supporting utilities, cabling securities, equipment maintenance, removal of assets, security of equipment and assets of a premises, securely disposal or reuse of equipments, unattended user equipments, clear desk and clear screen policies are the some example of the physical this ones. And for uh, environmental, for environmental, like air conditioner, moistures, temperatures, sensors, all these things comes under the environmental securities. Okay. Next is supplier relationship and vendors. ISO 27001 more focuses also on the TPRM part because they are the one who impacts your context of the organization. Supplier relationship are critical for managing the third party's risk, especially when supplier access, process, store, or transmit the organization informations. Information security in supplier relationship, addressing information securities within supplier agreements, managing information security in the ICT supply chain, monitor, review, and change management of supplier services. TPRM is a major part of ISO 27001. TPRM also, okay, let me open the notepad here for more clear visible to you. Okay, TPRM. If we talk about the TPRM, right, let's discuss from initial phase, right? What is the purpose of TPRM, right? Why organization are spending much money to manage the third party's risk? Even vendor is capable to manage their own risk, but why we are bothering about, right? Why we are much taking care of the risk, vendor's risk? The only reason, only a single reason is data, because data is the one who is actually storing, processing, or transiting by the vendors is the only single reason for the reason of risk. But the question is why third parties vendors are required. Let's discuss with an example here. Okay. Um, there is a bank called XYZ Bank. XYZ Bank. Okay. You well know that, okay, banks is dealing with the processing of the funds, right? They provide the loans, right? They provided the cards and the accounts related, right? So if if I can say the bank's expertise in managing the financial, that's right. But if I can say whether bank is capable to manage their expertise in securities part, to manage the security domains, to manage the payroll services, to manage the logistic parts, the answer is no. For all these sections, the answer is no. For security domains, right, bank has no expertise. For payroll services, bank has no expertise. For managing the logistic parts, for example, no expertise. So either bank to manage all these domains by their own, or they need to outsource. Only one option is there. So first option is either bank to manage all these domains, which is very lengthy process, and that is not the actually bank expertise is. Second option, they need to outsource all these things. Yes, this is bit possible. So they hired the vendors to manage their security domains, to manage their payroll services, right, to manage their logistic part. See, why security domain is required, because data is there. So data, at least bank to manage the complete security postures of the security measures of the data, so that your data would be safe. For payroll services, bank has to process their salaries for their employees. That's why payroll services are required. For logistic parts, right, because bank is also dealing with the accounts, so their debit cards, credit card, ATM card, whatever the bank statements would be, right, they need to deliver at the customer addresses. So these are the facilities given by the bank. So for delivery purposes, right, bank to hire logistic, courier services. That's why logistic part is required here. And for all these services, they need to manage the vendors. I mean, they need to outsource the vendor. That is why third parties are required. And let's discuss, right, how to classify the vendors as a critical, medium, and low. So we just discussed, okay, why vendors are required. Okay, why vendors are required. If I can take uh, this logistic example, right, to deliver the cards, right, logistic company to collect the bank's employee details, right, maybe employee name, their phone number, their Aadhaar card, etc. है ना? So if I can say that, okay, vendor is processing their PII informations. Yeah, okay, PII means personal identifiable informations, right? Okay. And okay, I'm keeping this part a bit aside for a moment, and let's take this second example, this payroll services. To deliver this payroll services, okay, what are the data required for payroll? I'm assuming here that payroll application is managed by vendor. So what are the data hosted on this applications, right? Employee name, okay, account details, okay, account details. What else? Income tax deductions, deductions. Form 16 details. After Form 16 details, we have right medical deductions, medical deduction, etc. So I mean to say here, right? Complete. Okay. Apart from this, Aadhaar cards, PAN card details, also processed by vendor. Okay. So if I can summarize the second example, so PII data plus confidential data plus highly confidential data processed by vendor. Confi confidential. Okay. Confidential data processed by the vendor. Okay. In the first example, the PII information was there, and at the second example, right, our PII information and the confidential data and highly confidential data processed by the vendor. So, with the help of this example, you easily can imagine, right, that vendor number two is more critical for us. Why? Because data classification is high, na? Because data classification is high. And we are considering this vendor as a critical vendor because of this data classification. And vendor number one, since only they are consuming PII data, so we can consider vendor number one as a medium vendor or low vendor. Okay. Also, if there is something wrong happen at vendor number two, the impact is high. So also we need to ensure that vendor's business continuity, right? What are the backup, what are the disaster recovery plan for vendor two? So we need to assess properly their documentations part and their applications hosting strength. What are the encryptions level, what are the three-tier methodologies, right? Whether all the access controls are proper or not, like that. Complete maturity of assessment due diligence for vendor number two would be required. To manage all these vendors, we have a TPRM life cycle also, TPRM life cycle. For TPRM life cycle, we have start with the bidding. Then next would be uh, you know not bidding, actually RFP we can say. Okay, RFP, or let's start with the broad level, like vendor identification. Okay, risk assessment or due diligence. Okay, risk assessment. Okay, after risk assessment we can say that, okay, onboarding. After onboarding we can say, okay, regular risk monitoring, or we can also say that monitoring. Okay, we can also say that it's a regular DD. And number fifth is the offboarding, securely offboarding. So this is the life cycle of the vendor, which is very important, right? In the TPRM section, when we will prepare for the TPRM one, we will discuss complete one-on-one, right? What is RFP, what is request for a quotation, with more details, right? How vendors are onboarding, what are the checks, what are the controls we need to review the vendors, how the applications to be reviewed and all. I mean, complete maturity of assessment we will learn in a TPRM. So if you want to learn all these sessions one on one with more deeply, uh, or if you are preparing for interview preparations, guys. Okay, if you are preparing for ISO 27001, GDPR, PCI DSS, NIST, SOC, SOC 2, okay, you can email us, or you can do your comments in the comment box. I will pick up your comments, and we can go ahead with the one-on-one. We are also giving offers on interview tricks as well, that resume writings also. You can email me on rajveersinghAUG@gmail.com. If you have any query also, you can drop your queries in the comment box. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.